you could literally walk into it, fire at me, and end the suppressing fire before it happens. So we have to adjust that a bit, because it doesn't work exactly the same as War Machine. It's not model per model, it's whole squad here. And so maybe what we'll say, because you have your movement and then your action, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say that you end your movement or move into. So at the end of your movement, if you're in the AoE, then you get hit. That's when you get hit. How does that sound? So before you take your action.
But how about if there was a squad right here in the open, and you laid the suppressing fire here, and they ran through it to get into cover over here, and you couldn't see them anymore. They would run right through it.
But you can't run. Remember, there's no running in this game.
Well, like they move twice. That's what I meant.
But
that's right. The first movement.
It's the first movement that counts. If in your movement you touched it or end in it. So it's not just end in it, but if in your movement if you started in it and leave it by the end of your movement. So if you the wording that War Machine uses is enter or end.
Right.
But they say at the end of the activation. So I say if you enter or end your movement.
Right.
Then you get hit before you take your action. Because that'll stop that squad from taking fire on mine and stopping the suppressive fire, which would actually not make any sense whatsoever. So how does that sound?
That's a lot better.
Yeah.
That's a lot better.
Yeah, so this is why we playtest.
Hey.
Because right away we see the flaw right there. Okay, anyway. So if you enter or end your movement, in your movement part of your phase of your activation, which remember, you don't run. There is no running in this game. Instead, you take your action as another move. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons that way.
So yeah, you can't run, you can move twice.
Yeah, exactly. You can use your action for another movement, which is running. And that's essentially what other games do. They just don't call it that. So, what are you going to do then? So if you move out, you'll have a 7 or less chance of hitting.
Right.
If you stay still, 2 guys will get hit. Most likely 1 will die, and you'll also have a 7 or less chance. So it kind of forces you to move.
Yeah.
Because you might as well keep all your guys alive and take the same negative modifier.
Yeah, the best chance for me right now is to just move out of the suppressing fire.
Okay. And then take your shot.
And then take my shot.
So we've already done all the measurements, because you know that the distance from here to the end is 16 inches, so you're just outside of 16.
Right.
And so it's going to be 7 or...
Closest to the furthest.
Yeah, closest to the furthest.
Yep, okay.
So it'll be 7 or less. And of course you roll really well. You roll 5. So that's a margin of success of 2. Right. So you manage 2 hits.
Right.
And it's strength 5 versus armor 2, so it's 3 or less. So roll 2 dice.
Nothing.
And nothing. Okay, well, either way though, you would have killed 1 guy. So let's think about that for a second. Does that feel right? Now I realize the problem with playtesting, especially like single one-off playtesting, is that situations can change whether a rule makes sense or not.
Yes.
Like, was it even a good idea that somebody in my situation would go into suppressing fire?
Well, I think the better question would be, could it be a good idea?
Right.
Like, in a situation common enough. Like, so if a bunch of guys were running this way, and these had to move back, and maybe it moved them back into the way of something else.
That would be awesome.
Like,
or if I have an assassin right here.
Oh, right, because if I'm here...
You could move up.
I can move up and
shoot the assassin.
Right.
But in order for you to do that, you'd have to walk into the entire suppressing template. So all your guys get automatically hit, and you lose half your guys.
So all of a sudden, this area right here is super safe, even though there's guys right here. And them moving over and destroying the assassin and getting pummeled would still be worth it.
Yeah.
But now that's just impossible.
But even without all those situations, this almost was the same result. I forced you back. The only difference was I didn't kill one of your guys. Mm-hmm. So in this exact situation, suppressing fire would not be good. But we can see the result of it. It forced you back. Like, you could have also gone around here in this case and fired at the assassin who was right there.
I guess that's true.
That's in this case, yes. But we're seeing that it is a viable mechanic to influence the maneuvering of the rest of the game.
Be very, very specific where you need to place that template.
Or you get 2 squads, and one puts one here, and the other one puts one here.
That's very true. And then it's just like...
But then that's 2 squads that didn't fire those. You have to always ask the question, is it worth substituting?
So kind of, if you need a turn to move up and adjust, if you're trying to just position more and you kind of just want to delay the opponent, you can lay down suppressing fire and keep them back more.
Which is what exactly it's supposed to do. Suppressing fire is not meant to kill, it's meant to suppress. If you happen to be dumb enough to run out in front of the suppressing fire, well, guess what? You're gonna die. And so that explains why you don't have to roll to hit. You just automatically hit them.
This would be extremely powerful in a combination of a group of squads, like different squads, mixed with a bunch of close combat solo characters.
Yeah.
You could suppress and move up with the solo characters, and then
lay waste.
And then maybe so.
Okay.
Maybe.
See, so I'm liking this. So you fired at me. Okay, so let's do the next round. You didn't manage to kill one. You should have though. So we'll go by the odds. You would have killed one.
Okay.
Because you had 3 or less on a d6 is a 50-50 chance, and you had 2 to roll. So we'll say you killed one, and now we'll go to the next turn. All right. So first things first, the suppressing template goes away. So we know the maximum range. Like it can move up a bit more now that one guy died out of there. So what we could do next. See, in this case, it's not going to be the best tactic to use suppressing fire. But, so let's say I move up 6, 6.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Now that I use suppressing fire to kind of keep you back, I'll come out in the open. Now I have a couple of choices here. If I put down suppressing fire, I think that would be a bad idea because you would just simply leave it and kill me.
Right, I could just move to the side in this case.
Yeah, I can't put the template. There's nowhere I can go that would protect my guys. Because I'd have to put it on your guys, but then you just move back and pummel me because I'm out of cover. So in this case, I wouldn't use suppressing fire, so I would just fire like usual. And unfortunately, it's still the -1 range penalty, which is what they had before. So there really isn't that different. So I actually forced you back, and it made the range a little longer. So it's going to be 7 or less for me to hit as well, because I have 1 less guy. So it doesn't really matter what I roll. I got really lucky there, and I got 3 hits. So 1 or 2 of your guys is going to die on a 3 or less. Yeah, so 2 guys die. I could use my command point to re-roll this one, and 3 guys die. So you just died. So obviously suppressing fire is overpowered. Avoid that in your playtesting.
Yes.
Look at your rolls. That's why I usually, when the rolls happen, we like to just pull the averages of those rather than let the rolls determine the game. But you still need to have the fun randomness in there too. Okay, so I don't know. Do you think we need to playtest this any further? Does it seem pretty straightforward?
I think suppressing fire can work really well, but when it's 1 squad versus 1 squad and that's it, suppressing fire just keeps them back. It doesn't really hurt them.
Yeah.
Which is, unless they're silly and run into it.
Yeah, exactly. So I could have easily moved back and dropped a suppressing fire template like around here, but I can never keep you more than 16 inches away from me because that's the range of my suppressing fire.
Right.
Now, like the Xlanthos, who have a base range of 10 on their squad weapon, they would be able to put a 20-inch suppressing fire template down, which is a pretty big deal. So they could do area denial even more.
I think it works well. I like it a lot better than the old version, but we'd have to play test it with a bigger squad.
Okay, so playtest number 1 is complete.
Okay.
All right. See, 0.1.3. Although this updated March 22nd is not yet updated. And changes in red while I printed off black and white. So, anyways, we're going to do a full play test of a regular game. This is going to be the starter box plus 1 group of troops, because we already did a starter box test. So I think this might be the first anybody hears about what the starter box is going to contain. I can't remember if I officially said that. I think I might have officially said it in one of my other videos.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't watch my videos.
I've watched some of them. Part of them. I skipped through the concept art. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. That's cool.
But you already get to see it. You don't have to watch my videos for it.
I know. I want to see them again. I don't have them at home.
Anyway, so I'm going to be playing the Corporation with this War Machine, with this Kador Winter Guard guys. And he's going to use Space Marines for Xlanthos, because it kind of it doesn't really typify what they're like, but we just, these guys are heavier, they have more armor, but they're lower defense. These guys are higher defense, but lower armor. So that's like the only similarity that you're going to see here. Okay, so what we have, the starter box is going to be the Commander, heavy weapons guy. He actually has a flame launcher. It fires a flamethrower kind of thing, but it actually does a small blast. So it's basically the fire landing, exploding, and then it stays in play for a round. We got a sniper, and we got a squad of 4 guys, and then we're adding on another squad of 4 guys. These are just regular troops, just to expand it a little bit so we can have a bit more dynamics in the play. On the Xlanthos side, the starter box is the Commander, an Assassin, which has his 3 stealth tokens, and then we've got a regular group of 5 troops. So this is our attempt to balance the starter boxes, because these guys will be pretty much better man for man, decided to make more grunts in this army and one more specialist in this one. So it's not going to be completely balanced. We're not worried about that too much. And then we have one more group of troops. The starter box balance is important to get close. It doesn't have to be right on. So and we're just going to use the same board as already set up. Our past playtest, we've realized that the terrain has an enormous effect on the results of the playtest.
Oh yeah.
Like we'll play it and we'll be like, oh, I didn't like that mechanic. And then we think about it more, like, no, it was more because we used that 8-story building, and that's not normal.
Right. Like we played the one game and it was a massive building, and then we were just running around the building and it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then we played another game where all the buildings you could see windows, so you could see across the entire board.
Yeah, there was no line of sight blocking.
Yeah.
And with no line of sight blocking, it turned into just a shooting fest, which was still fun, but it wasn't what I was really going for, so we didn't get to play test it. So here we have plenty of line of sight blocking terrain. And we've even got a couple really tall ones that you might need to use an anti-grav mine to get up into, which hopefully we're going to see in this game, but we'll see. And then of course we have lots of sandbags to provide cover as well. So basically if you're behind a sandbag, you get a -3 cover. That's a good thing to get negative. And if you are partially blocked by the line, the other terrain, it's going to be a -2 cover. And obviously if you're out in the open, you don't get any cover.
Right.
Okay? So we're going to play this as a normal game. We don't really have scenarios worked out yet, so the basic is going to be roll to see who goes first and places first, to play within 12 inches, and then kill the opponent. There's no scenario, no objectives yet. Because the objectives will make a big difference in the game, but we don't have to worry about those yet. So, I roll the 3.
I roll the 3.
5 and 1. So I get to choose. I'll go first, which means I have to deploy first. Okay, I'm going to put my sniper back here. And then first turn I'll drop an anti-grav mine. Jump up to the top. The only only my commander has an anti-grav mine. So he'll have to wait for the commander to do that. Speaking of commanders, I'll put him right here. Don't have to worry about stealing initiative because that will not exist in this game because it's a stupid mechanic. It's already a disadvantage to go first by having to place first. So there's no need to make even more disadvantages. I'm going to put my heavy weapons guy. I want him up there. I want him to get some good line of sight. I'm going to start him over here. He needs support. That's right. We tried this before.
Right.
We think of him as a solo, but he's really a support guy. He needs to be near the squad. So let's put a squad first. We'll have one squad over here. So the guy that's with the pointing the gun is the leader of the squad. The leader of the squad doesn't have any different stats. You just have to point him out because everybody else has to stay within command range of him. And we'll put the heavy weapons guy right here. And then the other squad will just be on the other flank.
Yeah, because we learned from last game that if the squads and the heavy weapons,
Yeah, their leadership is low.
they're without a commander nearby, their leadership is they can fall back very, very easily.
Yeah, and I want leadership to play a big part in this game, and so I'm not just going to give everybody high leaderships. Like I think about 40k, for example, with my Necron army, everybody has a leadership of 10, which doesn't make sense. Necron warriors, like if you're thinking, oh, they have a high leadership because they're fearless, well, there's a fearless rule for that. You don't have to give them a high leadership. Instead, they should have the leadership that depicts, kind of like Tyranids. I think Tyranids are well done. Their leadership makes sense. Like the Gaunts have a leadership of 6, but when they're within Synapse, they're fearless. So when they're near the commander, they're fine. When they're on their own, they suck. So I want that to happen. I want there to be synergy there. Okay, so that's my deployment, so it's your turn to deploy.
All right.
Fun.
Okay, so
12-inch deployment.
and start with my commander. Fire right in the middle.
It's a good place for the commander.
Yeah.
When everybody else uses command points, so.
The assassin.
Yeah. Deploy the assassin. You place the 3 tokens anywhere within your deployment, but they have to be within 9 inches of each other. Because it's stealth level 3, so you multiply that by 3.
One right here, behind there. Put another one right here. And one more. I'm going to keep out of range. I'll have a lot of sight.
And you know which one is the real one?
Yes, I do.
Normally you have to note it down, but we'll just trust each other.
I'm a trustworthy fella. Most of the time.
It's the honest ones you have to be careful of.
I don't remember the rest of the line from Jack Black or
Jack Sparrow?
Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Jack Black.
Because you never know when they're going to do something crazy or unexpected or something like that.
Stupid.
It might actually be stupid. So it might have actually really upset the balance of the game now I think about it, because I gave you a second squad of 5 guys, and I gave myself a second squad of 4 guys.
But the heavy weapons was maybe a bit more powerful.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll make your second squad 4 guys.
Okay.
Just to try to bring it down a bit. Because man for man, your squad is worth more. So even just adding the same number is actually probably throwing it off a little bit. But we'll see. We're playtesting balance here to a point, but we're also trying to playtest the mechanics and how they feel.
Look at
Okay,
it.
so. Alright.
Commander, 2 squads ready to buy.
Stealth guys are those 3 tokens that
Right.
you see right there. Alright, so I have first turn. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the commander. He's going to drop down an anti-gravity mine. Now, the rule for mines and grenades is that you forfeit either your movement or your action to drop one. So you can actually throw a mine or a grenade and still fire. So this is our awesome high-tech cutout. A is for anti-gravity and G is for gravity. So he's going to actually throw down anti-gravity mine right here underneath my sniper. And that he's forfeiting, let's say he's going to forfeit his, well, it has to be within 6 inches of him. We'll say he forfeited, it doesn't matter because from his action I can move as well.
Right.
So he forfeited his movement to do that. And then he's going to use his action to move as well. So he's going to actually advance up to here. So he's out of line of fire or line of sight of everybody else. Then I'm going to activate the sniper next. Now with an anti-gravity mine underneath him, the rules for that is that upward movement is doubled. There's other things that happen as well, but that's the most important thing right now. And that's important because he wouldn't normally be able to get to the top. Because you don't run, your own upward movement is limited to what your movement is. So let's say that I hadn't put that there. Well, I need 7 inches to get to the top. Since my movement can't get me there, I can't stop midway, so my movement won't get me there, so I have to stop at the bottom, and my action won't get me there either. So by this, my movement, I only need 3.5 inches to get to the top, and I have a 6-inch movement. So that'll be basically, there's 3.5 inches. Whoop. And then I'll use the other 2.5 to move in. And then my action will be my second move. And I'll move him over here. And hopefully not die. But he does have the dug in special rule. So this will give him a -3 cover. And he'll get another one on top of that because of his special rule. So he's going to be hard to hurt when he's in cover. And hopefully, do I want him there or do I want him over there? This will give him some good line of sight to this area right here. So I'm going to keep him there.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to activate the heavy weapons specialist next, and he's going to move and move. Now his movement's only 5, as he's got a heavy weapon. He's going to move 5, and then move 4 more. What's his range? His range is 10. So he doesn't have to get too close, but if he can get close, oh boy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try something. No, he's going to move. He was back 12 inches in. So he's going to move 5, and then he's going to move 5, like so. I have some ideas of using suppressing fire and grenades in order to give him cover to get in position, because he can't move and shoot with his big weapon. It's a move or shoot weapon, so you have to forfeit your movement in order to fire it. These guys will activate next. They're going to move 6 inches. Then they have smoke grenades. So the smoke grenade works very similarly to the mines, except only one can choose to do it. So this is one of the few situations where individual squad mates can act differently from others. So let's say that they could actually fire at something. Well, if I chose to use my action for a grenade, then one of them would not be able to participate in that fire. So this one right here is going to forfeit his action to throw down a smoke grenade, which has to be within 6 inches, and it blocks line of sight and provides a 2 cover if you're inside of it. So that's almost identical to War Machine. So anyway, and then the rest of them will use their second action to move. As long as they stay in coherency with this guy, then they're fine. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
And then this squad right here, where do I want them to be? You know what? They're going to move over here into the anti-gravity mine. And then they're going to fly up to the top using their action. So this is 3.5 plus 2.5. So basically, like so.
Anti-gravity makes you fly around.
Whee! So there's our first use of anti-gravity. So it actually had a really good use here with, with this kind of terrain.